went ahead and brought over our slightly beaten eggs too. Now remember, because there's cream in the butter, this has a chance of boiling over, especially if you have a smaller pot than I do. We're going to go ahead and through a process called tempering, we're going to add this to our eggs. And what we're going to do is we're going to slowly pour the boiled mixture into the slightly beaten eggs while whisking it continuously. This will slowly bring up the temperature of the cold eggs and prevent the eggs from turning into a lemon omelet. Or lemon scrambled eggs, really. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this back in the pot. And we're going to continuously whisk this and boil it as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to help coagulate the eggs and make it a thick pudding-like curd. Now, because we're whisking continuously, you don't want to use a pot with a non-stick finish. We're whisking continuously because we don't want to burn the bottom of the curd, and we don't want this to bubble up and burn us through like thick bubbles forming and bursting at us. So go ahead and take this off the stove. Okay, can you see how thick and creamy the curd is now, even while it's hot? As it cools down, it's going to get even thicker. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this cool in the refrigerator since it's way too hot. Even if the lemon gel was cool to put it on, it would just instantly melt the gel. We're going to put it back into the bowl that we had in originally. I went ahead and quickly washed this out. I know a lot of people are afraid of salmonella poisoning. But keep in mind that even if you didn't wash it out and you forgot to wash it out, you won't have to worry about it because the curd is so hot, it should kill all the salmonella bacteria anyway. But I like to wash it out anyway, just for safety reasons. Go ahead and pour this into the cup. Take some plastic wrap and put it right on top of the lemon gel. And what I mean is, you want it to be touching the top of the lemon curd. That's going to prevent the skin from forming, much like pudding. And we're going to put this in the refrigerator and let it cool down, and then we're going to come back to it once the lemon gel sets up. Okay, so it's been over an hour, and the lemon gel still hasn't quite set up yet. So we're going to go ahead and make the dough for our lemon cornmeal cookies. Now these cookies are also going to be used in a recipe in our next episode, The Monkey's Lunch. So I'm going to explain how to make both of them at the same time since it uses the same recipe, and then next week, the next episode, it'll be a little bit quicker. So first, go ahead and weigh out your rolled oats, and it's just regular Quaker oats. We need 1.5 ounces. Then go ahead and add that to your food processor. Now in that same bowl, you're going to go ahead and weigh out the flour. We need 3.5 ounces. Also going to add the sugar, and we need 2 3/4 ounces of that. We also need to add the cornmeal, and we need 2 ounces of cornmeal. Now I used white cornmeal. You can use yellow cornmeal. Just use whatever you have on hand. You don't have to have any specific kind of cornmeal for this recipe. And you can go ahead and add a little salt to this recipe too. There's a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm actually going to leave that one out because I'm using salted butter for this recipe today. Okay, so the first step is to mix the oats in the food processor until powdery. It's going to take about 30 seconds. Alright. So now we're going to add the flour, sugar, cornmeal, and salt if you added that. And we're just going to mix it to blend. Okay, now that the dry ingredients are all mixed, we're going to go ahead and add our liquid ingredients and put them together. And what I'm going to do is I already have some melted butter here. What I did was I took the stick of butter and I melted it in the microwave for about a minute, and I let it cool down just a little bit. We're also going to add 1 egg, and half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And you don't really have to measure it. Just go ahead and put in what you think is good. Go ahead and whisk them together. Now if you're only going to make the lemon cornmeal dough and you're not going to use it the same recipe for next week, go ahead and add the lemon zest and the ground thyme. But since I'm going to make this next week as well, I'm going to go ahead and separate the dough first after it's all come together, and then I'm going to knead in the lemon zest and the thyme. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, we're all mixed and good. Okay, so our next step is to add the liquid ingredients into the food processor while it's working. So turn on your food processor and slowly drizzle it in. You want to do it until it just comes together. Lightly flour the bowl that you weighed out the dry ingredients in. And add the dough you just blended in the food processor. Okay, now we're going to knead it together until it's just blended. It's pretty sticky. If you find it really sticky, add a little bit more flour. Okay, now that we've blended it, go ahead and separate it into 2 pieces. Take 1 piece and wrap it up in plastic wrap. We're going to go ahead and freeze this dough and save it for the next episode. This dough freezes really well, and it can be frozen up for about 3 months at the most. 2 months is better. Now for this piece, you're going to want to add the thyme and the lemon zest to it. So go ahead and zest 1 lemon. Go ahead and add a little bit of ground thyme. And you just mix it together just like you did with the flour earlier. Okay? Now go ahead and wrap this disc up too. Make sure to flatten it into a disc while you're wrapping it up. It'll make rolling it out easier because it's already starting off with a flat shape. And since we want to use this sooner, we're going to put it in the refrigerator for about 15 to 20 minutes.